Hey guys, I want to do a video talking about my Tokyo Marui M870 that I've customized with some Angry Gun accessories. So if you're familiar with the gun, it usually comes with this stock here, which functions as both the grip and the stock, so obviously none of this stuff. The front barrel is usually longer and has a front sight, so obviously no choke. And it does not have the side saddle. It does have a top rail, but obviously nothing on top of it, and a back rear sight. So what I've done to mine is I've taken off this stock, put on this Angry Gun stock, and that comes when you get it in the box. It's just this buffer tube and a little stump here for the pistol grip to bolt onto. So you have to put on your own stock and grip. I've added this Mission First Tactical stock, which is really nice and firm on here, fits really well. I think it's the mil-spec version. This one does come with this paracord piece, which is actually just more annoying than anything. So I would recommend getting the one that doesn't have it. It's called the Minimalist stock. Here I have a Magpul MOE pistol grip with a storage compartment. Again, this one I had to mod a little bit because it had that little tail on the back that would sync up nicely with an AR, but on here there's no room for that, so I had to cut it off. But you can't get these grips without that on there, so if you're looking for a grip for this and you're thinking Magpul, then get one without the little extra over mold for your hand. On the side, got the Angry Gun Sidesaddle. It goes into the body through the existing pins, and it functions really well. You can see some of my gameplay videos with that. It holds 6 shells. I have them coming out through the bottom here, just because when I need to reload, open up the gate, the shell that's in there drops out, or I pull it out, then I pull this down and right back in, and I'm good to go. The way this side saddle is set up, it's very loose, and the shells will just be very wiggly in there when you start. What I've done is I've added a piece of tape on the inside here. It's some of that 3M mounting tape, so it's very thick, but you could do a couple of laps of electrical tape or duct tape, something like that would work. You just need to build up a little bit of a layer, and then that gives it nice friction and it stays in really well. You can see it's really firm. But if you don't do that, it's going to be real wobbly. You'll probably end up losing a couple of your shells just running around it, rubbing against your gear. So I would highly recommend that mod. On here I have my EoTech 551 that I put on everything that has a rail. On the front I have this barrel clamp rail mount that functions in 2 ways for me. On one side I have the WML Flashlight here by Inforce, and on the other side I mount my cameras when I'm using this in game. On the front I have a G&P Choke, which if you want to see how I got that on there, watch my other video about the customizing the Marui. It's a little bit of a pain, but it is possible for sure. That covers the gun. I have my Super Sling too that I've adapted for the stock with this ring piece here, and that this sling collapses or extends, but really there's no real reason for it to be collapsed other than for transport. Anytime you want to throw it over your shoulder, you want it in that fully extended state. I decided to go with a 2-point sling because it's much easier to use the secondary when using the shotgun. I could just throw it over my shoulder and use both hands for the secondary. It does have a 1-point sling mount on this side, and this stock has a 1-point sling mount down here, the quick detach mounts. So if you want to run the 1-point sling, you'll have a lot of options if you get this stock and buffer tube combination. But I prefer the 2-point. It works pretty well. It's still not a great setup. You can't really lean, you have to hold the gun sometimes, but for most applications and most airsoft gameplay, it's not life and death obviously, it works pretty well. The Angry Gun stock mod is pretty easy to do. One thing to note about this is it does boost your FPS about 30 feet per second. So currently I'm not able to use it with green gas because it's so hot right now, and green gas was already operating pretty much at the maximum ability of this gun, and that extra boost from the stock, it's just over pressurizing the system, and I hear it leaking from the cylinder. I was told by the Airsoft Extreme Techs that there's a blowout valve on the gun that's supposed to release the pressure when it builds up too much to where the gun's not going to handle it properly. so it's not a bad thing. But I now do have to use duster gas, which is kind of the only accessible version of the 134 gas that this shotgun was designed for, that we could get our hands on. And if you don't know what duster gas is, this is basically it. It's that stuff you use to blow off your keyboard or your electronics. I've set mine up so I could actually transport it into a game. I've taken the cap from a green gas can, put a little bit of tape here just to give it a nice sturdy fit so it won't fall off while it's in transport. So you can see it's very similar to a green gas can. And what you'll need is to take off whatever the spray system it has on top, and then you'll get access to the nozzle. And for that, you then use this Airsoft Innovations adapter to get it on here, and from here then you fill your gun. Oh, by the way, the fill valve for the Angry Gun stock is down here, so it holds the gas in the buffer tube. So then you would fill it with this, and you get usable FPS, and the pressure is not strong enough to blow out the valve. So I'm getting right around high 200s with this stock and this gas, sometimes low 300s even. So that's really good for indoor play. So I think it's a pretty good solution if you're trying to use this gun indoors and you're shooting too hot. Consider using duster gas. Airsoft Innovations adapter, and I've drilled a hole in this cap to house it so it goes off to the side, and it could go on here. And this way I'm not gonna accidentally push on this if it was on the actual nozzle and squirt it out, and I could transport it in my gear, and it's small enough to fit into anything a green gas can would fit into. So that's sort of the function part of this upgrade. The stock bumps up your FPS a little bit, so to counter that you might have to switch to duster gas. If you live in the colder climate, it'll probably be no problem using green gas. So that's something to consider. Well, that's the overview for the gun. I'll put all the links in the description for all the parts and pieces used here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.